I never imagined that giving my daughter the greatest gift of her life would turn into the biggest heartbreak of mine. When I bought her a $680,000 seaside mansion for her 18th birthday, I thought I was giving her a future full of joy, comfort, and pride. But the moment I arrived at the house to surprise her, what I saw inside shattered me. And in that instant, I realized that sometimes, the people we love the most can make us feel like strangers in our own family. I want to tell you exactly what happened, because this is the moment everything changed between me and my daughter. I had worked my entire life to give my only child, Emily, the life I never had. I grew up with nothing, no money, no home stability, and no one who saw potential in me. When I finally succeeded in business, I made a promise to myself that my daughter would never feel the fear and insecurity I once felt. Birthdays were always special in our home, but her 18th birthday. I wanted it to be unforgettable. I didn't just want to give her a normal gift. I wanted to give her a dream. A place where she could grow, find peace, and start adulthood with confidence. The mansion I chose was right on the coast, with glass windows facing the endless ocean waves. A home that looked like it came straight out of a luxury magazine. I spent months planning everything. I worked silently, arranging renovations, customizing every detail to match her personality, her favorite colors, her dream room design, even a small art studio because she always loved painting since she was little. And throughout those months, she had no idea. I wanted to see her cry happy tears when she saw what her father had done for her. I wanted her to hug me and say, "Dad, thank you for believing in me." That was all I ever needed. Finally, the big day arrived. She thought I was taking her to a fancy dinner. She dressed up beautifully in a soft, blue dress that matched the waves outside. We drove along the coastal highway as sunset colors painted the sky orange and pink. I was so nervous inside, thinking she would scream with excitement when she realized the house was hers. The closer we got, the more emotional I became. I kept imagining her reaction, the laughter, the tears, the moment where she realized how much she meant to me. But when we arrived, everything felt off. There were cars parked outside the mansion, cars I didn't recognize. The gate was wide open and loud music shook the walls even before I stepped out of the car. My heart skipped. There wasn't supposed to be anyone here except us. I looked at Emily, hoping she would explain, but she just stared at her phone and smiled, like she was waiting for a message. I stepped forward, thinking maybe the real estate agent forgot to lock up or someone made a mistake. As soon as I opened the door, I froze. My jaw literally locked in shock. Inside the elegant mansion I had poured my dreams into, there were dozens of teenagers dancing, drinking, shouting, and throwing trash everywhere. Cups on the floor, sticky drinks spilled on the luxury furniture, shoes on the white couch I bought for her reading corner. And right there, on the wall where I had hung a handmade portrait of us that I secretly commissioned, someone had spray-painted graffiti over it. I felt my chest tighten like something inside me was breaking piece by piece. Emily didn't even seem surprised. She ran in laughing and hugging her friends. They cheered her name, shouting "Happy birthday, Emily," as if destruction was the way to celebrate adulthood. I stood there, invisible in the chaos. No one even noticed me. I watched as a teenager jumped into the indoor pool fully clothed, splashing water everywhere. Another kid knocked over an expensive vase I bought from a local artist. It shattered instantly. My breath became uneven. My hands started shaking. I tried to find my daughter, pushing through the crowd. When I finally reached her, she was taking selfies with a group, holding a champagne bottle like she had earned it. I said her name softly first, no response. Then louder. She turned to me, annoyed, as if I was interrupting her moment. "Dad, why are you acting weird?" she said with a tone I had never heard from her before, cold, careless, almost like I was embarrassing her in front of her friends. I told her we needed to stop the party immediately. That this house wasn't a place to ruin. That it was her gift. And she looked at me with wide eyes but not the good kind. "Gift," she repeated, almost laughing. Dad. I thought this house was mine. I told my friends I owned it. Why are you making it about you? My mouth opened but no words came out. I wasn't trying to make it about me, I just wanted her to know this house was built from my love, my struggle, my sacrifices. Then she said something that stabbed deeper than any knife ever could. You didn't give me this house. I deserved it. This is the life I'm meant for. Stop acting like you're doing me a favor. Her friends laughed at me. My own daughter stood there while I felt like my heart was being stepped on. I turned around, overwhelmed, trying to breathe through the confusion and pain. I looked around again at the wreckage, the noise, the disrespect. I realized in that moment, maybe I hadn't given her love in the right way. Maybe my success blinded me to who she was becoming. And as the music continued to blast, and my daughter turned her back on me, I walked upstairs alone, needing a moment to understand what had gone wrong. But what I found next upstairs made everything even worse. Something that told me, this night wasn't just a mistake. It was a warning of a truth I had refused to see. As I climbed the stairs, my heartbeat echoed in my ears, louder than the music downstairs. Every step felt heavier, like each one carried another piece of disappointment I never expected to feel from my own child. The hallway lights glowed softly, the kind of elegant look I thought Emily would appreciate. But the sound of glass breaking below reminded me that she didn't care, not tonight. Maybe not at all. Upstairs, the door to her bedroom, the one I designed with so much love, was slightly open. I pushed it gently, hoping maybe I'd find some sanity inside. But the moment I stepped in, I felt another hit straight to my soul. 3 teenagers sat in the room, feet on her new custom bedspread, smoking like they owned the place. The walls I spent weeks choosing paint for were now decorated with scribbles, names, and drawings they probably thought looked cool in their drunken state. The soft pink curtains she once adorable selected as a child were ripped halfway down. "Hey man, you got any more drinks?" One of them laughed when he saw me standing there. He thought I was some random house staff or maybe someone they could mock. I didn't even answer. I just shook my head and walked back out before the anger boiling inside me erupted into something I would regret forever. I paced the upper hallway, telling myself to stay calm, to breathe, to not ruin her birthday more than it already was. I knew I needed to get all these kids out, stop this disaster before the damage became permanent. But before that, I needed answers. I needed to understand how my daughter, my sweet, kind Emily, turned into someone who could treat me like this. Then I heard her voice again, angry, arguing. I followed the sound to the balcony. She was on the phone, pacing as the wind blew her hair wildly. I stayed hidden behind the doorway, listening, because something in her tone sent chills down my spine. "No, listen," she said sharply, "I told you, my dad finally bought me the house. Yes, it's the one you showed me online. So you better keep your promise. You said once I got the place, you'd move in with me." She paused, listening to whoever was on the other end. Her voice softened. "Baby, don't worry. My dad won't be around much longer. He's too busy with his work. He barely cares anyway." It felt like the ground beneath me disappeared. Her words cut deeper than anything before. She didn't just lie to her friends, she lied to her boyfriend. And what she said about me, it was like she erased every sacrifice I ever made for her. She thought I barely cared? I gave up my youth, my sleep, my health, everything, to make her life beautiful. How could she say that? She ended the call and leaned over the railing, smiling at the view like nothing in the world was wrong. That was when I stepped outside. The wind was cold, but my voice came out even colder. "Is this what you really think of me?" I asked. She jumped at the sound, turning around with wide eyes. But instead of guilt, there was irritation. "Dad, were you spying on me? Seriously? Can you not ruin every moment of my life? Every moment of her life?" I laughed bitterly. All I had done was build her life piece by piece. Emily, I said quietly, controlling the tremor in my voice, this house, everything here, is because I love you. Because I want you to have a better life than I did. She rolled her eyes. Yeah, well, love doesn't control people. I'm 18 now. I can make my own choices. Her tone was filled with entitlement, like freedom meant disrespect. I tried to explain that a home is not just a possession, it's a responsibility. But she interrupted. Dad, stop pretending. You bought this place to show off. To prove you're the perfect father. Well, guess what? You're not. That one statement, it hit me like a punch. I wasn't perfect, God knows I tried, maybe too hard. Maybe I was so busy giving her the world that I forgot to give her discipline, wisdom, and humility. She had everything, except values. And that was, on me. I told her the party needed to end. I wasn't asking, I was telling. She crossed her arms and glared. You can't tell me what to do here. It's my house. And that's when I finally snapped, not with anger, but with truth. No, I said, voice steady, this house is mine. And you are acting like someone I don't recognize. I watched her expression shift, shock, fear, then rage. She screamed, calling me selfish. Told me I wanted control. Said I never trusted her. Her words were louder than the waves hitting the rocks below. Some kids had noticed the argument and now stared up from the living room. The music turned down a little, whispers spread, and suddenly the unstoppable Emily looked small. Embarrassed. And in that humiliation, she lashed out even more. You know what, she spat, if Mom were alive, she wouldn't treat me like this. She would actually let me live. Her mother. The woman I loved more than anything. The woman who died bringing Emily into this world. The silence after that sentence was like ice freezing time itself. My throat tightened with grief I had tried to bury for years. I stepped back. Don't use your mother as a shield for your mistakes, I whispered. She stared at me, chest rising and falling, anger shaking her voice. You don't get to talk about her. You replaced her with work. You think money solves everything. I swallowed hard, tears burning my eyes. Maybe she was right. Maybe somewhere along the way, I tried to fill the missing warmth with material things. Maybe I was too afraid to be vulnerable. Too busy fighting for our future that I forgot to be present in the moments we had. My voice broke as I answered, Emily. I have done everything for you. But love cannot exist without respect. The room below grew quiet, everyone listening now. You want independence? I continued. Then earn it. You want responsibility? Then show it. But I will not allow you to destroy yourself, or destroy everything I've built, just to impress people, who won't even remember your name next year. Her lip trembled for a moment, like she might cry, but she turned away again, pretending she didn't care. I realized then, what I needed to do. Not as a successful businessman. Not as a provider. But as a father. I walked downstairs, stood in front of the crowd of teenagers and said firmly, party's over. Everyone out. Now. Groans. Complaints. Eye rolls. But slowly, they left. My daughter didn't say a word. She stayed upstairs, silent, a storm waiting to break. I started cleaning. Not because I should have to, but because someone needed to. Trash bags filled quickly. Beer cans clanked. My back ached. And yet all I could think about was how far this night had fallen from the dream I had imagined. When I finally sat down on the messy couch, completely drained, Emily stood in the doorway. Her arms wrapped around herself, not angry this time. Just lost. Vulnerable. But before either of us could speak, her phone rang again. She glanced at it, and the faint, hopeful smile that appeared told me exactly who it was. Without a single word to me, she walked out the door. Into the night. Into the dark. toward a future she thought she understood. And I sat there, wondering if I had just lost my daughter forever. I watched her disappear into the darkness, and for a long moment, I didn't move. The ocean waves outside were crashing harder now, like the sea understood the chaos inside the house. Inside my heart, I wanted to chase after her, pull her into a hug, and tell her everything would be okay. But I also knew that sometimes chasing someone when they're determined to run only pushes them further away. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. I couldn't tell anymore. My phone buzzed multiple times, messages from colleagues, reminders of tomorrow's meetings. The life I built to keep us safe now felt like the very thing that separated us. The house was quiet, almost too quiet after all that noise. Every broken glass and torn piece of decor felt like a symbol of a fragile relationship that had cracked long before tonight. Finally, I stood up and walked to the balcony where she had been just earlier. The moon reflected off the ocean, waves glowing silver. I leaned on the railing and closed my eyes, memories flooding in. Emily as a little girl laughing, holding my hand tightly when she was scared, falling asleep on my chest after bedtime stories. When did that girl fade away? When did she start seeing me as an enemy instead of a father? As I stood there, lost in thought, the front door burst open. Emily stumbled inside, crying, terrified. Her mascara was smeared, her hands shaking. Panic replaced the anger in her eyes the moment she looked at me. "Dad," she whispered, voice broken. He left me. She was trembling like a child again. Instinct kicked in, not anger, not disappointment, just love. I rushed forward and held her as she sobbed into my chest. For the first time in years, she let herself collapse into my arms. I didn't ask questions. I didn't scold. I just held her and whispered, "I'm here. You're safe." After a few minutes, she finally spoke. Her voice cracked as she confessed everything. The boyfriend she trusted never wanted her for love. He wanted the house. He wanted a comfortable life without working for it. Every sweet word, every promise, it was all manipulation. When she told him what happened tonight, that the house wasn't truly hers yet, he called her useless and abandoned her by the street. Her tears turned into hiccuping breaths, each one filled with humiliation and heartbreak. I gently guided her to sit on the couch beside me. "Emily," I said softly, brushing her hair from her face, "I know it hurts. But this is a lesson. Not just about him. About the world. About trust." She nodded, unable to look me in the eyes. I continued, "Love isn't given because you deserve it. It's given because someone chooses you, over and over, even when you make mistakes." Her chin quivered. "Do you still choose me, after everything I did tonight?" she whispered. Without a thought, I took her hand. "I will always choose you. You are my daughter. My heart. Nothing can change that. But love also means teaching you when you're wrong. And tonight, you were wrong." She nodded again, tears falling silently. For once, she didn't argue. She didn't run. She listened. Slowly, she opened up like she hadn't in years. She admitted she felt pressure to be someone special, someone worthy of the life I worked so hard to give her. She thought having a mansion meant she had value. That people would respect her. That wealth would fill the emptiness she felt after losing her mother. And in that painful confession, I understood the truth. Her rebellion wasn't against me. It was against the loneliness she carried, the grief she never learned to process. I had given her everything but guidance to handle her pain. I tried to buy her happiness, thinking money could replace memories she never got to make with her mom. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I didn't know how to be an adult. I felt like everyone expected me to already know. I placed my forehead gently against hers. No one knows how to be an adult at 18. We learn, we make mistakes. But we must take responsibility for them. Then I said something that surprised even me, we are going to fix this house together. Every broken thing. Every stain. We will repair it side by side. And while we rebuild this place, we will rebuild us. Emily sniffled, a tiny hopeful smile forming for the first time that night. Can I still live here someday? She asked timidly. Yes, I smiled softly, but not because you think you deserve it without effort. Because you earn it, with respect, gratitude, and growth. She threw her arms around me and sobbed again, this time not from heartbreak, but relief. The next morning, we cleaned the house together. She apologized for every mess, every mistake. I showed her how to patch a wall, how to polish surfaces properly. We laughed a little. We talked a lot. It felt like the beginning of something new, something real. Over the next weeks, Emily started taking more responsibility, not because I forced her, but because she wanted to. She enrolled in college. She cut ties with toxic friends. She even started therapy to heal the grief she carried alone for so long. I was there for every step. And one quiet evening, when the house was finally fully restored and we stood watching the sunset from the balcony, Emily turned to me and said the words I had dreamed of hearing since her mother passed. Thank you for believing in me, Dad. I'll make you proud. I hugged her, heart full, knowing that the mansion wasn't the real gift. The real gift was the moment she realized her value didn't come from what she owned, but from who she is. And I realized something too. A house can be destroyed. A party can be forgotten. But love, when rebuilt with truth and accountability, becomes stronger than any wave the ocean can throw. Tonight didn't break us. Tonight saved us.